Hi folks, welcome to the podcast When I Became a Gator. I'm your host, Vi Payulert. We're back with season 2 where I'll focus on where alumni are now and how their time at UF shaped their lives, careers, and passions. This podcast will focus on the stories of various alumni in hopes of bringing together the Gator Nation one alumni at a time. Now let's welcome Sonia to the podcast.
Kind of just to go back to probably the beginning, but my parents immigrated here to the United States from India. And so my sister as well. And then I was born here in the States and I was raised in South Florida. I went to high school in Fort Lauderdale. And then I went to the University of Florida and did my bachelor's in food science and human nutrition and graduated in 2002. And then continued to do my doctorate in pharmacy and graduated in 2006. And then I ended up actually staying another year there to do a residency in ambulatory care. So, yeah, and I completed my teaching certificate when I did that as well. So,
yeah, and I when we talked earlier, I know that you come from a family of Gators. Could you just tell our listeners about that as well and kind of how you ended up at UF?
Yeah, so my older sister, she is also a Gator. My brother-in-law is a Gator. My husband's a Gator. My other brother-in-law is a Gator. So we are definitely a family of Gators. And that's where, we bleed orange and blue.
That is true. Maybe your kids will also go to UF.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're already huge Gator fans. I mean, my older son. He's only 9, but he's already set on that. He has all his Gator gear and Gator decor and all that. So he's definitely ready.
Yeah, start learning early. That's the key. And were you involved in anything on campus? Any extra, clubs outside of just what you were studying at the time?
Yeah. So between undergrad and graduate school, I was involved in a variety of organizations. I was part of the ISA, so Indian Student Association, which was fun. We did lots of fashion shows and Garba nights and things. And then I was also a Florida Cicerone in undergrad, which are basically the student ambassadors for the university, which was an honor and a lot of fun. We got to do the campus tours for those who were interested in the university and really just share our excitement of what it means and to be a Gator and all that. So that was great. And then I was involved in a variety of or several Christian organizations, such as Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Then some of the other ones were like Gator Christian Life and Crew, I also all these, and even in pharmacy school, we had CPFI, which is Christian Pharmacists Fellowship International. So a lot of these organizations were also great for meeting people and community, but then also these were all opportunities to actually also serve. And so which I loved. So we had opportunities to serve at Ronald McDonald House or serve the underprivileged and things like that. So it all great experiences.
And with ISA, the Indian Student Association, I know when I went to undergrad at UF, they were a huge organization at that time. Was it easy to connect with other folks in ISA, or was that a new experience for you? Can you just share what it was like to be a part of ISA during that time?
Yeah, no, it was pretty big. And so they're definitely, and even within the ISA, you think of within India, there's North Indians and South Indians, all different. So just being able to connect with all different Indians in there, it was fun. Yeah, it was, and there was always meetings and things that we could do to connect. So yeah.
Yeah, it was always a good time. Just even for me, I remember dressing up and having my my sari ready for Diwali, and it was just so much fun just being with everyone and dressing up, because you don't get to dress up very often, so that's always a fun thing.
That's true.
And after UF, could you just share with our listeners what you did right after your graduate school. I know we talked earlier and you mentioned you went to West Palm and went to UVA to teach and do your postdoc. Can you just tell our listeners what you did afterwards and like what your early career looked like?
Yes, sure. So after I completed my residency in ambulatory care, and I also did a teaching certificate. So that really prepared me for my first job out of college, in that I was able to get a position as a clinical assistant professor at Palm Beach Atlantic University. And so it was a great balance of being able to work in the clinic setting and getting to serve actually an indigent population, which really I have a heart for. And I was serving even during my residency, and having students on their clinical rotations with me on those clinic days, but then also being able to be in the academic setting and teaching and having, those office hours and lectures and those things. So being able to use my teaching certificate and also just having that balance of both what I love, serving the clinic setting, but also being able to teach. It was great. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I got married, and then we moved up to Central Florida. And my father-in-law actually is a pharmacist and has had a pharmacy for almost 30 years. And so just coming up here to help with the family business and doing community pharmacy was also a great experience. And then now I'm actually doing MTM, which is medication therapy management. And I work part-time now in telehealth. And so, which is great. I get to work from home, and I still get to work on now another passion of mine, and that's writing, which I may mention, but I just wrote my first children's book. And so I love being able to balance that and being a mother and just having a little of everything, but still being able to do pharmacy as well. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned just serving an undergrad and just like being able to do community service. Is there opportunities for you to do that now currently?
So in a sense, I think whatever I'm doing, I kind of see it as, I'm serving. And so even as an MTM pharmacist or a consultant pharmacist, I am serving my patients in that sense. And then as a writer now, I feel like in my writing, I'm wanting to connect with my readers, and whether it's parents or children, in that I'm serving them with something that can help inspire them. And so in that sense, I know a lot of times, even us as a family, we like to serve out in the community. There are organizations that we've helped with, like Feeding Children Everywhere and things like that we can go and do in person. Since the pandemic, we haven't had that opportunity, unfortunately, but there's always other ways that we try to find ways to serve.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned just now your children's book. Can you tell our listeners what it's about and the title of it and where they can find it? But yeah, I would love to hear more about your children's book.
Oh, sure. So the book is called Bax and His Bubbles, all about a kid and his thoughts. And in the book, I use the illustration of a bubble, and that is to depict basically our thoughts. And so the book helps to teach children what thought bubbles to keep and what thought bubbles to let go. And so it's really a tool to help for parents and educators to use to help kids foster healthy thinking habits. And so through the story, Bax, as the little boy's name is, Bax, he learns to think on thoughts that are true, thoughts that are kind, and thoughts that are excellent. And the excellent ones are the ones that we should speak and act on. And so that's kind of the quick summary of it.
And where can our listeners find your book?
It is available on Amazon. It's also available on barnesandnoble.com, walmart.com. So a variety of, you can find it online.
And amidst all the things that you're doing on top of being a mom, like it's so amazing that you have time to have time and patience to write a book. And are you working on anything else, like another book or any other writing?
So I would love to continue my writing. I am kind of in that process of more, I would say, getting the word out about my current book, but then also I am working on just like brainstorming and kind of thinking of what my next project might be, whether I may do another children's book, I may do something maybe for adults or women. So I haven't completely decided. Those are all things that are on my heart. So we'll see what the next thing is, but I am currently, yes, working on just writing and reading. That's all part of kind of honing that skill. It's not something, honestly, that comes very natural to me. I was never really a big reader or writer growing up. That's something that's only come in the most recent years, that I truly love reading now. And I find it really enjoyable to just sit and to be able to write and read. And so that's what's new and different for me. But yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. And speaking of that, reading is probably one of your newer hobbies. Is there anything that you like to do to relax or just have your own time? And I know now during the pandemic, folks have taken up quarantine hobbies. So is there anything that you have done this year or last year differently that carried into this year?
Really, I would say yes, definitely the reading and writing part. When I say even writing, I would say even just journaling. I've been doing that probably in the last, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years, but I'm really enjoying that. Just journaling my thoughts. Journaling is a great way to relax, and obviously, yeah, taking a nice nap. Naps are always not always easy to come by, but they are enjoyable when you can. So
yeah, I +1 on the naps. I love the nap time if I can get one as well.
Right.
Yeah. Is there any last thoughts you would like to share with our listeners? It was really great to hear from you and hear about your book.
I think one thing I would just say, if I could just encourage the current Gators that, might be trying to figure out what they want to do, or, they're still not sure. When I look back at my time at UF, I would say, I'm obviously not the same person I was when I started out. Going in as a freshman, I was, completely introverted, very quiet. And I'm still, that's probably naturally me, but UF really helped me to get out of my comfort zone, out of my shell, and really try new things. And so for those that might not think that they don't see themselves maybe in one profession or one career or one hobby or whatever it is, to really just go out of your comfort zone. And that's not easy, because I'm saying that from someone who, that doesn't come easy to me, but there is benefit in that. And you'll never know what you will discover till you kind of put yourself out there and try new things. And you'll find that, maybe you do find a new passion in something, because I honestly would not have thought I would have become a pharmacist. I remember back in high school volunteering in the hospital and thinking, here, let me check out the pharmacy. And I was like, oh no, I can't even last the 4-hour shift. There's no way I'm going to do pharmacy. But, things happen, and finding out about the other aspects of pharmacy that opened the door to me wanting to do pharmacy. So you never know, and don't just shut your maybe mind to something that you could be open to.
Yeah. And other folks that have been on the podcast this season have said the same thing, like just really UF or, college in general is a time to explore new things, meet different people that you may have not interacted with before. It's a time to experiment and really just, like there's nothing that you could really lose while you want to obviously do really good on your academics and keep your grades up, but there's so many opportunities for you to explore on campus. And I totally agree with that advice for current students. Just a time to try new things and get out of your comfort zone.
Yes, I agree.
So this is so great to speak with you, Sonia. I'm sure our listeners have taken some gems that you have shared with us. I just want to thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks again to Sonia for sharing your story with us on the podcast. If you're interested in learning more, take a look at the links in our show notes of this episode.